Hi, welcome back to my, I don't know, social media channel. Probably this is going to be YouTube, right, Amy? I'm Michelle Crawford, and I'm the founder and CEO of Cannabis Coaching. Woo, there's my logo. And today I have my friend and my former coworker, and also fellow CCI grad, Amy Matthews. Let me do her full intro. You'll be so impressed. Okay, here we go. Amy is the founder of Growhouse Community, and she hosts the weekly Trailblazer talks, which are an hour of inspiration in the cannabis community and beyond. She does coaching through Trailblazer Wellness. She is, like I said, a former CCI grad. Well, she's a CCI graduate, and like me, a grad mentor formerly. And she trained me in my grad mentorship. So I think of you as a big sister, Amy, in that way.
That's awesome.
And
Thank you.
You are coming to us from Texas, and you are part of the Texas Compassionate Use Program as a patient, which is important for us to mention. So welcome so much to my channel. Thanks, Amy, for coming on board to talk about your experience with homemade health tinctures class.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you, Michelle. And we've had this student-teacher dynamic both directions, because then I became your student.
I know. That is the most hilarious thing. I was so intimidated by that in the winter class because, all of my students were also my peers in coaching. And it was a real revelation to find out, how beneficial it was to offer my class to my community as well-educated, trained coaches in the cannabis community. So yeah. Why did you want to take homemade health tinctures with me, Amy?
I think why I wanted to take it versus what I got out of it was so much more, right? So where I started was like, being born and raised in California, I had the pleasure of coming and seeing you in person. And so when I got to come see you, I got to try some of your tinctures in person, right? So obviously, word of mouth is one of the best things around, and actually getting to experience something. And so I had already benefited firsthand from having one of your tinctures. On top of that, we had a situation where while I was visiting you, I had made mention to you that my dad was having some brain issues. He has something called brain ataxia, I believe it's called. And it's a kind of a random thing that happens from time to time. There's no rhyme or reason to it per se. So I have rarely ever seen him have the condition, but I had said to you that I really felt like one of your tinctures would help him. As the universe, I guess, would have it, we went to dinner that evening. I had your tincture in the car, and my dad had an attack sitting at the dinner table in a restaurant. And it appears like a stroke. That's what it looks like. It looks like he's having a stroke. So my dad was going into this, and I said to him, Dad, will you allow me to give you this tincture? And he said, yes. I ran to the car. I got it. I gave him basically what I felt would be like half of a dose, got his meal in him, and gave him the other half. And it was as if I was watching a miracle in front of my eyes, because within an hour, my father's attack had ended. Those attacks can last 24 to 72 hours for him. And the one medication that they do give him, and he has seen many, many specialists, he's been up to Stanford, he's really, really seen specialists on this. The best they can do for him is a med that may or may not work, and it will not work in that time frame. It will not work with that effectiveness, and he may be 3 days into it, and he feels very trapped. He's actually not able to speak clearly, not able to communicate himself, but he says he feels perfectly clear inside his mind. So it's a very hard thing to watch your loved one. So immediately I had full proof that what you had was effective and great. So, first of all, at that point, why wouldn't I want to know what your secret was? And then to know that you had not just one, but different options and different mixes and stuff. So that started off with why I wanted to. And then I got so much more out of it, of course.
What kinds of things did you get out of the course as we went through the actual material? I love that story so much. I believe in miracles and love, and it was your love and even our love as like sisters and friends and colleagues that brought us together, that brought this to your dad. I enjoyed meeting him so much, by the way. And the story means a lot to me. It's on my website if you guys want to look. There's a testimonial, and it was a miracle. My grandmother suffered a stroke and lived in her mind for some years. So it's not pleasant, and anything that we can do to help our loved ones from any kind of fate like that is a blessing.
Yeah, and it's more than that even, Michelle. So the last time I was in town, he still obviously has some of the tincture. And my brother lives 2.5 hours away. My father suffers from really chronic pain related to nerve damage from his back all the way down his legs. To get in a vehicle to drive to see his grandchildren in a play is excruciating. And so I said to him, Dad, I want you to get Michelle's tincture out, and I want you to take it before you get in the car. And then I want you, when you get here, I want you to take it again as soon as you get out of the car. That was one of the best days I had with my dad, because he was able to be fully present. He sat next to me and we watched our sweet little Mackenzie do the part of young Elsa in Frozen Junior. And he was able to be present. And very often he is not. He has
After
to
a
pace,
long
he
car
has
ride.
to breathe, he has to, he can't, he's in so much pain, he can't even be fully present. And it was such a gift. That was a gift.
Don't
So
make me
thank
cry,
you.
Amy, honest to God.
I know I hadn't told you that story yet. Sorry, I just
That
sprung it
is
on
so
you.
beautiful. You know, and I mean, that is preventative as well as, you know, helpful after an attack. What more can you say about something? I know, you know, geez.
Yes.
So what did you get out of homemade
Oh,
health tinctures in the end after actually taking the class, the
yeah.
4 classes and the lessons and the videos, and what did you like about it? Yeah.
So it was so much more than the knowledge, right? There's the knowledge and being able to implement it, but there is something that we do to ourselves as human beings. We get in our head. We start, overthinking. Anyone who has ever tried to make anything in the edible field whatsoever, you get in your head. And maybe you have dosed yourself. Maybe you have had, a dud where you feel like you worked so hard and nothing happened. Whatever the case might be we get in our heads. And I think that was something that all of us in the group started sharing with each other, is how much we stop ourselves and how many times we have set out to start to make something and talked ourselves out of it because we went so far down a rabbit hole of calculations and this percentage and this versus this and which oil and all of these things. And so one of the biggest things was actually the clarity that you provide. You have a really great way about you, and this is why I like our friendship. Some of my best friendships are someone who's kind of the yin to my yang, right? So I am like that down the rabbit hole, deep thinker, and you have the ability to cut through and say, no, this is what we're going to do. Listen, if the number's off by 1 milligram this way, what's going to happen? We're going to start low and go slow anyways, right? So why is this going to be an issue that's going to stop you? And there were so many of us in that group that had that light bulb moment. So many of us, and we went, oh my gosh, you really just gave us that permission, that kick in the pants. You worked through the what if scenario that most of us couldn't get to. Well, what if it's off by a milligram? Well, guess what? You're starting low and going slow anyway. So it's not like you're going to have this disaster. You know what you're doing, And so it was all of those things. There's stuff that about oils, if you've been around and doing things for a while, but you make it so clear it's all in one place, it's all tangible. The tools, the shopping kit, all of those things. But at the end of the day, it was this level of confidence and this camaraderie with the group of going, look what I did. Oh my gosh. And I'll say this, my husband does not sleep well. He is not somebody who has ever felt a benefit from a tincture. And sleepy time, adding that sleepy time tea, that is amazing. And as he's an entrepreneur himself, he owns a couple of companies, and we all know who own our own businesses. There are sleepless nights or nights where you just can't turn your brain off. You can't turn it off. And it is so darn helpful just to be able to breathe, calm, and rest, because we need our rest to be able to do the next thing. And so that confidence level that you gave me, I will never be in my head the same way. And I've been doing this for a minute, but it's a gift. That's a true gift that you have that I think you're innately born with. And so anyone who's an overthinker, Michelle's your gal. And at first,
come over, I got you.
You're not going to feel great. At one point, you're going to be like, I don't like this, Michelle. I don't like it. But if you just lean into it, I did, and we all did, and we were so grateful for it. I think you've heard that many times.
I kind of have, yeah. The can of confidence is a huge angle, and it always was for me, because it, like you're so right. People get in their heads, and I hate seeing people get blocked up, especially when I know that they know their stuff, and I know they're talented, and I know their intentions are right on, and I know that this tincture is ultimately going to help them, their family, their loved ones, their community, whoever it's aimed at. We just actually have to make, and we have
Yeah.
to take, and we have to share.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and I'll say this as well. So you have a plan that you lay out in the class where you talk about what your day can look like on cannabinoids and what your routine can look like. And you gave me a lot of really good language and clarity around that as well. So I was recently at the hair salon where I was getting the pink and so on. And it was so funny because there was this moment where everyone was kind of gathered around me. We were talking about cannabis and cancer and different things. And so this guy was asking me his father-in-law that he wanted to talk about. And he goes, well, so, how would this work or whatever? And when I explained to them that you can set it up to where during the day, you have a certain level of functionality and a certain level of benefit from cannabinoids. And then in the evening, you transfer over to something else that provides the sleep and provides the rest and all of these things. I mean, it was everyone in that room's head exploded, that simple explanation. And you really helped clarify that for me in a way that it's easy to communicate to other people, because it is that easy, but we can make it real complicated in our heads.
Absolutely. I think that like, especially even as like, I'm trying to have more people join us that aren't necessarily as deep in cannabis. And most of the time that they're coming in through like as a person like yourself or one of the other graduates bringing in, their client or club member. But I'd like to say that the appeal to like the everyday person who isn't already going to CCI or whatever is to learn about how to take cannabis throughout the day to support different social function, sleeping, focus, awakeness, and creativity, work, that kind of thing, or athletics, all of the endeavors that we have in our daily lives. The more that we can kind of like explain, like you did in the hair salon, the universal appeal and the ways to use, breaks the stigma of that we're just going to touch the plant and get high,
Yeah.
like
exactly.
You only can smoke it and you can only get high.
Yeah. I would say that your class is really for anybody who loves DIY, wants to DIY and has ever and wants to use tinctures. The end. Like
the
if
end.
The end. If you want to use tinctures and you like DIY, because trust me, you guys, the machinery is easy to work and function with. You have lots of options of ways to do things, and all of that. But I would say, tinctures are expensive, and being able to make your own on a personal level, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I think you probably identify with this as well. There is something about making your own medicine. I think on a spiritual level, making your own medicine. I think on the level of just knowing what you're putting into your body and where it came from. I infuse intentionality into what I'm doing. I don't have the ability to grow plants like you do, because you can infuse your intentionality from seed all the way to the
it's a beautiful experience. Yes.
It is. But when I make my CBD and CBG tinctures, all these things that I order, and I make sure to get organic and all of those things, I know to the best of my knowledge what is in there, and I know the intentionality that I've infused it with, and I know when I put it in my body, it came from me, it came from my love and my effort, and I do believe that affects us completely, because we are body, mind, and spirit.
I couldn't agree more, and that's why I think it's so imperative to actually get people over those overthinking obstacles or whatever's in their way, to get them to actually make it a finished product, get to the end, take the finished product, and even have the confidence to share. Like, not to go back to it, but your story couldn't actually be more in line with my own thinking on it, Amy, honest to God. Because when people are not actually creating something with that much blessing, that much intentionality, that much potential to heal, any stoppage in the process blocks that from happening, in which I'm against. I'm for it, heading all the way to the end. So that we can receive the benefits that our love and our intention and our healing energy is putting into the things that we're making.
That's actually a reason why I don't flavor my tinctures either. The reason I don't flavor my tinctures is because I want it to taste like the plant, because I want that conscious intention setting while I am ingesting it. I know what I'm doing, and I know why I'm doing it, and I know what the intention is. I don't want to throw some cinnamon flavored something in my mouth and keep it moving and not think about it and not consider it and not thank the plant for the gift it's giving me and tell my body to receive it with the intention that I want it to have.
That is so beautiful, Amy. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. I tell my clients that too. I'm like, don't do the flavor. Have an intention.
Trailblazer Wellness. She tells all her clients. I'm just saying. When all your friends are cannabis health coaches and educators, you just got to kind of pump them up. Okay, well, I think you already answered, like, why would you recommend the class and who would you recommend it to? I love that, succinct. If you're into DIY and you like to make tinctures to save money, to put your own, maximum healing and farm to table, feelings about it into the process for yourself, the ritual, you are the ceremony, your life, everything you do is a ritual. You know what I mean? That is where the blessings and the healing come from for a lot of us. So I think I was going to ask you, why should people take it in the end, but you already answered. So
I'll say one more thing about that. So I don't know, it depends on how long you've been around tinctures and things, but companies, when they make tinctures, they are at the mercy of whatever their supply is as well, right? And so I have been in situations where I've had people that I've been referring to a place and they have been getting good result from a tincture, a CBD tincture. And then what happened was that crop changed. Something happened with the crop, something happened with the grow. It was not the same chemistry. And when that happened, they stopped getting benefit. There is something about you having more control over, again, knowing what you're ordering, knowing where it's coming from, all of those things, because we could find a great product and love it, but there's no guarantee that that product's always there too. And so what I love about what I have, because I get to travel a lot and I get to go to legal states and go to different dispensaries and try different things, and I love it. But at the end of the day, I always go back towards what I've made and what I know, because there's something about that just, I trust it and I feel better with it. I have always had best results, and most of the people in this space that I have ever talked to have always had best results with stuff that they've made themselves. And I think there's some real reason behind that.
Oh, exactly. Which is, I mean, to the point of this entire mission of having classes like this. Exactly. I think you're 100% correct about that. Did you want, I like to hear a little bit about your legal states, and I know you're from California but living in Texas. Did you want to talk about that a little bit, because I know it's like a little bit close to your heart about all of us Americans in prohibition states trying to get kind of curious,
Yeah, absolutely. And I have, I've walked that journey, right? So even from 2016, when I started paying attention to, I had, I was again the child of the 80s, the say no to drugs. I believe the gateway drug stuff and everything. And in 2016, I had been just 13 years, I had been on some meds and they were still playing with them and they weren't working and there were a lot of side effects. And I ultimately got to a point where it's like, I got to find out some more information. So I started my research. So that led me on the road. But the availability of CBD at that time, specifically in Texas, was, at that point, the 2018 Farm Bill had not passed yet. So CBD was not widely available. There was a lot of challenges there. Yeah. So it's changed greatly in Texas since then, and it's still nowhere near ideal. But I did have the blessing of being able to be added to the Texas Compassionate Use Program in the last several months. In October, I was. And that's been huge for me. But that it's still quite a limited program. Folks with cancer, folks with specific, seizure disorders and things like that. They did add PTSD, but there's still a lot that's excluded. And so that was a challenge for me, even as a cannabis coach, because I wanted to spread the word and I wanted to give the information, but what could I bring to the table? I felt really limited. So I'm feeling grateful that things are moving along and we just need to keep pushing it. I'll do my best to try to maybe go testify this go round at the state capitol about the positive experience that I've had now that I have been able to be on the program and such. But what has happened is CBD and CBG are now available here. So I can work with that and I can support my clients with that. And I've been having really good results. One of the things that you talk about a lot, Michelle, in your class is the acidic cannabinoids as well. So it's not just CBD and CBD, it's CBD, CBDA, CBG, and CBGA. Yes. I have a client who was recently hospitalized for staph infection. She had become so septic that she actually did not know her name. She could not remember how to walk, how to eat. She literally was septic, and it was a long period of time before they could find out what was going on with her. And so eventually they did. She had pain and she could not identify or say exactly what it was or where it was. This is the mother of a very good friend of mine. So I said to her, when she gets out of the hospital, I think that you should introduce some CBD and CBG. And so we did. We created a CBD, CBDA, CBG, CBGA tincture for her, and we got her on it immediately. And then we gave her some salve for the topical pain.
Oh,
her results were so good that the doctors cannot explain her recovery. She actually did not need the last 3 weeks of her physical therapy. They canceled it. She was recovered. They were shocked. Because she was inundated with such high level of antibiotics to fight off the staph. They were expecting that she would have things like elevated liver enzymes, like side effects within her organs and her body from all the heavy meds. Well, it appears, we don't know for sure, but it appears that they were protected.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And yet also it appears, we don't know why. Oh, that's
but she also has some diabetes.
Awesome.
She has some other things. And they thought for sure that all of these things would go haywire. But it seems that something was working within her body to bring some balance, perhaps, taking care of some of these things and creating some homeostasis. And possibly. So this very conservative woman who has never even probably touched the plant is now telling anybody who will listen what a huge difference it made in her recovery. So I'm very lucky to at least be helping people within those capacities, here in Texas.
Amy, you're doing amazing work out there. Look at you. Everybody look at Amy. She's doing amazing work.
So don't be discouraged, prohibition states. We're going to get there. And you do have these amazing cannabinoids at your fingertips. And these cannabinoids can be used to make Michelle's tinctures to great effect. You throw a little sleepy time tea in there too. Now we're getting somewhere.
I mean, the power of herbs, people, work them together. Ultimate entourage effect, what I call the total spectrum lifestyle, the full rainbow.
I love that total spectrum lifestyle. Every time you say it, I get a little giddy.
I know, right? Oh my gosh, Amy, thank you so much for being here today. You couldn't possibly have made me feel better. And thank you so much for this testimonial. I really do hope it helps other people who might be trying to think, do I want to take Michelle's class or not? Who is this Michelle person? Why should I take her class?
Trust me, I didn't put all this makeup on just to talk about myself. I did it to get the word out to people. Like, look at these amazing things that are happening, and they can happen in your lives too. And we know it's not a magic bullet. We know it's not perfection. We know that total spectrum lifestyle includes all things body, mind, and spirit, and so on. We're not out here saying this is the one be all end all. Michelle is not selling snake oil. That's not what's happening here.
You have to make your own snake oil.
I mean, I'm sure the machine will do that too.
Yeah, right. I don't want to say, but yeah, go ahead. Try it. You'll feel confident about it if you ever try it. If you take my class.
Yeah. Okay. But I just want to make that point that there if you're in a prohibition state, don't let it intimidate you, because this can be helpful. CBD, CBG are huge, and you talk about it and you teach about that in your course, so nobody will walk away without clarity on that.
And also the entire thing about how to take cannabinoids, it's only a matter of time before legality touches every state in stronger ways. We're hoping for countrywide legality, global legality, you know what I mean, would be perfect. But I wanted to ask you about the GGG program. What did you think about the graduate group guides program that I introduced, where people who graduate my course, since they tend to be educators and coaches and people like yourself, can bring other people through the class. And I incentivized you guys to do that. And I also said I would give you a private Zoom, which is more appealing than you have any idea, A lot of
will Gammy be there? Because I need you to sweeten the pot. Will Gammy be there?
I know. I talked to my mom last night about it. She was like, maybe I'll think about it. I was like, oh, you're a diva. She's a diva.
She's got a rider. She's got a rider for the event.
Only if I give only the green M&Ms, maybe. I don't know.
Right.
So
I think it's such a great idea.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you've actively recruited, not exactly for GGGs, not specifically, but in general for CCI, and you've had success with it. How's that felt?
Well, first of all, I want to address the GGG specifically.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think that it is such a cool idea. And here's what we know, there's memes that go around, like there's a funny meme of somebody like being thrown back in a window, and it said like, my kidnappers returned me because I wouldn't stop talking about terpenes or whatever, like that.
I love that one. Yes, I think you sent that one. That was a good one. Yes.
But so the point is that when we find something that we love, we can't stop talking about it. And I'm that way with a lot of things, whether that's like my Traeger barbecue or whatever. Like if I love something, you know it, because I feel like you might need it in your life, right?
I totally
And so
agree.
that's what this is the embodiment of, I love this, I can't stop talking about this, and I want more people to know, which is what we're doing right now. It's like we want more people to know and feel the benefit of it. And so it's such a great idea. And then you've kind of deputized the folks who have come through the program, because we're already singing your praises anyways. And so now we get to participate a little bit more. And there's a little FOMO when a new class starts too. And you're like, I still want to come hang out with them. I still want to talk about
I don't want to miss
out.
And,
yeah.
And then there's also like, I told somebody else that it was like being a camp counselor after going to camp. You know what I mean? Right. Like it's fun.
And what's cool about that is you also offer the Slack community. So within there, you've got folks who have gone through the course, and then now this time we'll still be hanging out around there, and then you'll have the new folks coming through. And if they hit a wall, or if they have any moments of that, we'll be like, just wait, Michelle's got there's that thing where having somebody around who's been through it is nice to have them go, nope, it's coming, don't worry, that
Who
that
am I
information
sit next to at lunch. I have my friend.
Yeah, but I love, because we would share pictures, we would be like, hey, look what I'm doing and stuff, and it motivates you. So I compare it to a school of fish. That's what I talk about at the Growhouse community, right? I compare it to a school of fish. We all kind of have a general direction we want to go. We all want to be healthier and happier and have more joy and all of these things. And so we're grouping together, and we're not competing against each other. We're not keeping up with the Joneses. We're just a school of fish all going the same way and just saying, come on, let's keep going.
It's so true. That's a good one. I like it. Just keep swimming is another way I'm going to think about it.
Yeah.
All right, Amy, thank you so much. I think I'm going to have to do a small pitch and then we'll wrap up. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So what are we talking about today? My homemade health tinctures masterclass, where I will teach you how to make a canna kit of 5 multi-cannabinoid and single cannabinoid tinctures that can help you through the day and the night to handle things like Amy said. You can be like thinking about focus for work or for athletics. You could be thinking about trying to manage some pain. You could be thinking about trying to manage some condition that you've got. You could be thinking about trying to get some restful sleep. And those are all things that we think about all day long and needs that we have that a canna kit can help you with. I teach how to make a ready canna pantry. I teach how to make things with both concentrates and flowers. And mostly I teach how to make, take, and share with confidence the healing tinctures that we are creating together. They're oil-based and they are wonderful. It's a great class with an online component with videos with my mom and me cooking in the canna kitchen. And I do feature the art and effects, although you don't have to have one to do the class. And there are live classes. It lasts about a month. There are 4 live 1-hour classes on Zoom that we'll be holding in June. The class is on sale right now, and there will be a link.
Somewhere.
To buy the class now. Yes, somewhere. And it's going to be $497 if you're coming through on your own. But if you are lucky enough to be connected to a graduate group guide, which is a graduate of my class who's also a coach and an educator from usually CCI, then you get a special discounted rate, and you get a special like $97 off, $400. And you also get a free private Zoom with me, and your graduate group guide is incentivized. So join us for homemade health tinctures this June. Buy it now. Thank you so much, Amy from Growhouse Community.
Thank you. And I look forward to seeing everyone who joins in the Slack community.
Yes. Thank you so much. Do you want to shout out Growhouse real quick? Do your thing real quick. Yeah, come on.
Yeah. I'm very proud. The growhousecommunity.com. It's a group, and we are dedicated to helping the business growth of folks in the cannabis and wellness industry. So folks who are cannabis coaches, cannabis educators, folks who are in the wellness space, whether that's working in the herbal space, all these different areas where it can be challenging to advertise. We have to be careful about claims that we make. We have to be careful about the verbiage that we use. All of those things. There's extra challenges around banking and stuff like that. So the Growhouse community is really that, to grow our businesses. And again, it's that idea of that school of fish. We're all working on our reach. We're all working on marketing. This is what we're doing here. We're networking, right? All of these things. And so it's a great space to do it. It's a great space. The Trailblazer Talks are where you can get an opportunity to practice talking about your course, practice talking, maybe a speech that you're going to give somewhere, tell people what your plans are and get feedback. So we are loving it. We're having a great time. If you are a professional in that space, that's what the space is for. And you can find me at growhousecommunity.com.
Job. Thank you so much, Amy. I was so glad to have you here. All right. Bye.
Bye.